What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the video. Today we have a review for Kenobi episode 4. Now before I get too far into this video, I do want to say that in the background of my video you might hear some noises or whatever. There's actually some construction going on right outside my house, so I'm going to try to record in between all the noises, but if you hear some in the background, that's what that is. So I apologize for that a while. But without further ado, let's jump right in. I'm going to do my brief non-spoiler review, and then after that we'll talk about spoilers. So right off the bat, non-spoiler review. I'm going to say this. It's interesting. This episode feels like it's a filler episode, even though the events in the episode isn't filler. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I do think that sometimes filler episodes get a lot more hate than they actually deserve, but this definitely feels like kind of like they're trying to get to episode 6. They did a lot of stuff in episode 1, 2, and 3, right? And so now they're trying to pad out the runtime so they can get to episode 6 and make it feel more cohesive. And like I said, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I don't think this episode was terrible or anything like that, but I do think that maybe they missed a few marks here and there. But we'll get more into that stuff with the spoiler part of this. I'm just gonna say this episode is still pretty solid. I think it might be the weakest out of the show so far, but it had elements in it that were really good. So I think that if you're waiting to kind of see more of Kenobi be more like Kenobi, there are elements in this episode that definitely feed into that idea. So with that said, let's jump into spoilers. So the episode actually begins with a little bit of a parallel between Obi-Wan and Vader, both of them in the back of the tanks. Obviously have some type of force connection with each other. And Kenobi, of course, is like, I need to go save Leia, so he goes out of the back of the tank before he's completely healed. So he gets help from the female spy, in which case I actually don't remember what her name is, but he gets help from her, and they go to talk to this random guy, and he doesn't really have much to add to the story except for the fact that I guess he's some type of rebellion leader of sorts, or at least some aspect of him is a leader in this community of refugees, I believe. And it is kind of interesting. I gotta kind of pick here. Is like at first he's like, no, I'm not helping you. Do you know how many people I'm helping already? I can't help you. And then Kenobi is like, you don't understand, blah blah blah. And he's like, I do understand. Blah blah blah. My wife, she was a Jedi and she got killed too, so I do understand. And since we had this conversation, now I'm going to help you as much as I can. And it's like, wait, well, hold on. Wait, there was no like gaining of trust here. There was no actual work put in for Kenobi to get this guy's trust. He just kind of flipped the switch. So I do think there's some elements in this episode where they're like, okay, well, here's the thing. We're going to plot out all these episodes. We're going to get to the episode where Leia is going to be captured by Reva. I forget what her name is. Whatever the case, she's going to be captured by her. And they're like, but we have to make sure we fit her escape all in one episode. So let's make sure we rush through different elements. I feel like that's probably the biggest issue with this episode. Like I mentioned earlier, it's like a filler episode that doesn't have that much filler in it, but it plays out like a filler episode. Because usually in filler episodes and shows, it feels like the characters are kind of just like stuck, right? But in this episode, they are doing stuff. But for some reason, I think it's just the way that like the pacing of it. The pacing feels like it's very rushed. They're just trying to get from point A to point B in this episode. And because of that, it feels like a filler, even though it's not. So that's interesting. So I do think this episode could have used like an extra 10 minutes onto the runtime. It's definitely one of the shorter ones so far. I think it's only like 43 minutes. But it could have used another 10 minutes. They could have made this one like a 53-minute episode, I think. And really just kind of fleshed out all of these elements that kind of felt like it was being rushed through just to get the story over with. And I think overall the episode would have been better. I still think it's a decent episode. I don't think that there is any bad Kenobi episodes. I think for the most part, Kenobi is a good show. But with that said, there are elements in the show that I could understand why some would really not like them. So for me though, I think so far episode 1, 2, and 3 are more better episodes than episode 4. But episode 4 isn't bad. Like I said, I just think the biggest issue with episode 4 is the pacing. So getting back to the story, Kenobi and the spy chick, they devise a plan to break into the Inquisitor's secret headquarters. And Kenobi goes diving underneath and he comes up from the top, and she kind of infiltrates the control center and gets that all taken care of, which is pretty cool scene to see her being able to use her espionage to kind of get her further, which is cool. And then we get to the scene where I was kind of like, dude, all of your problems would be solved if you would have just did this. And I thought they were going to, but here you go. Kenobi comes out from the water bubble, right? So he comes out, he's sitting on the deck, and he goes to open the gate, and there is a stormtrooper who comes in. Kenobi effectively kills the stormtrooper, and I was like, okay, so this is where Kenobi's going to kill this single stormtrooper, take his armor, and then be able to effectively do whatever he wants without any issues. But then he doesn't. He just kind of lets him float there in the water. It's like, what I was hoping for was they were going to pay homage to episode 4 where Luke and Han wore the armor. And then maybe you could like connect something where like, you know, that's how they got the idea to wear the armor in the first place, because Ben Kenobi mentioned about doing it because that worked for him. And that would have been really cool. It would have been a really cool thing. And then they didn't do it. And I think the biggest reason why they didn't do it was because they wanted to keep Kenobi out of the costume and kind of give him more the representation of a Jedi. And I get it. Jedi in the olden times probably wouldn't do that. But these are different times, different war. I think it'd be cool to see Kenobi actually do that, especially considering Kenobi is a more strategic person in like all elements. So it would be cool to kind of see him be like, well, I could keep running through these halls as me, or I could just put on this stormtrooper suit and that'll be that. And Kenobi would have done that. Like the Kenobi that we know from like the canon, you know, like Kenobi from even like later prequel time, even Clone Wars time, I could see Kenobi actually taking that stormtrooper suit and doing that. But I think for writing aspects, they didn't want to do that, which is interesting. I guess they wanted kind of more conflict, so Kenobi would have to run into and do different things and stuff like that. Whatever the case, I think it's okay, but it definitely feels like somewhat of a missed opportunity in my opinion, for like a cool little callback to the original trilogy, but that's just me. So Kenobi seeks out Leia, and all together they go to escape, and Reva tries to catch them, but she can't because the other refugees come and shoot at them and get them out of there. And then Reva throws like an explosive thing at this one guy's ship, and the ship goes down, he dies, and everyone's like, oh no, this poor guy we never met before, oh no, what are we doing? Now here's the thing, I think it would be interesting, this is what they should have done. If they want us to really feel bad about that guy dying, he should have went with Kenobi and her there. Like maybe he was their pilot going there or something like that, and then he volunteered for this mission, and we got to know him along the mission, and then he died at the end of the episode. That would be more of an interesting take on the whole situation, but instead it's just a random guy who dies, and then everyone seems sad, and we're supposed to feel sad too, and it's like, I don't know this guy, I don't have any connection to him. That was kind of weak. It was really cool to see Vader walk in and like almost kill Reva. Not because I want to see Reva die or I don't like her character or whatever. It's just because it's cool to see Vader be Vader, you know? So I really like that moment. I also thought it was really cool to see Kenobi using his lightsaber, and as you can see, as the scenes go on, it seems like he's slowly regaining his old memories and his old, I guess you could say muscle memory or force muscle memory or whatever. You can see it as time is going on. He's slowly getting it back. And I do think we're going to get it officially back in episode 6 of the series, but so far, it's pretty cool. But how did you guys feel about this episode? Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad? What were some things you liked? What were some things you didn't like? Let me know in the comments below. Please consider leaving a like, subscribe, and turn notifications for more. I'm going to be having a podcast coming out with me and Goldwolf doing a full comprehensive breakdown of the whole episode, so if you guys want to check that out, make sure to subscribe for that. And I guess that's it for now. I'll catch you next one. Peace.